Welcome back to Just Scrap Radio on BJPenn.com. I'm your host, Cole Shelton. Episode 106 ahead of UFC Vegas 67 is live, and we're first joined by both fighters in the co-main event, and Dan Ige and Damon Jackson to preview their fight. Really good chat with Dan, about over 20 minutes, trying to talk about the losing streak and how this fight came together, what he's kind of taken away from the losing streak, and if he thinks he's fighting for his job. Like, obviously, you never know, losing 4 in a row. He has lost really tough guys. He knows he has to beat Damon to kind of prove he is a top 15 guy, and he really thinks he's kind of figured out what went wrong in those fights, and he really expects a good performance. But we also kind of talked about how the losses have kind of affected him mentally, which is a really open chat with Dan, which I'm privileged that he wanted to do that. And then with Damon, we kind of talk about his win over Pat Sabatini, and how he's really been on a nice run, how he kind of was messaging a lot of these guys in the top 15 to get a fight, and Dan was the one that responded back and accepted. So he's really thankful for that, as he knows it's a very big opportunity, especially in the co-main event. We close things out talking to UFC newcomer Isaac Dulgarian. Isaac obviously got the UFC contract on the Dana White looking for a fight back in last February. Since then, he said he's young. He just wanted some time in the gym. He knew he had to be fully prepared for his UFC debut, which he is. Obviously, he was training at Glory with James Krause. Obviously, he had to switch gyms. He said he was doing a lot of stuff Factory X. It seems like a lot of those guys have now moved to Factory X. But he was also awarded that full send contract, but it never kind of came to fruition. So we kind of talk about what happened there. He says he's still hopeful it happens. He's kind of hoping it may happen this week, but nothing really on it. But he knows 5-0, fighting a very tough guy in Daniel Argueta. He's looking to put on a show, get another finish, and kind of show everyone in the UFC that he is a legit guy in this weight class and can finish anyone. But be sure to share the show, subscribe, and tune in next week for another episode of Just Scrap Radio. All right, we're joined by UFC featherweight Dan Ige, who's back in action in January on the first card of the year. Dan, how's it going, man?
I'm pretty good, man. Just excited to, start the new year off with the big bang and excited to get back in there.
After that fight against Evloev, like, did you think you could get one more in 2022, or was it always like probably just look towards 23?
Honestly, I came out of that fight with no injuries. Obviously, just my ego, my spirit was a little hurt. I trained really hard for that one. I had a 17-week training camp, and I put everything I had, all my resources. I trained with Khabib and the Russians for a month. I went up to Colorado to train with Justin Gaethje for a month. Then I came back. I did 8 weeks in Vegas, and it was a lot. It was a lot of emotional buildup preparing for one guy for that long, and obviously it didn't go my way, and I felt I had put in so much work that I didn't want to let it go to waste, and I kind of got right back to it. I just kind of reset myself. I was battling a lot of, personal stuff, no injuries or anything, just my own personal self. So I just took time to kind of work on myself after that fight, and I thought I was going to be fighting. There's talks of me fighting Shane Burgos at Madison Square Garden, but then he signed with the PFL. So then there was talks of me fighting a couple other guys, and I was just getting ready. My mind was set. I was offered to fight in December 17th against Ilia Topuria. I thought that fight was going to happen, and then he ended up getting the Bryce Mitchell fight. So I was just kind of on the back burner preparing, but then the Damon Jackson fight came along for January, and honestly, it works out perfect. I would have liked to fight sooner, but now I get to fight, on the same card as one of my best friends growing up, Puna Soriano.
Mm-hmm.
So we went to high school together. We competed in college together. We started MMA together, and we've never competed on the same card together, like at all, as an amateur pro. And we've always talked about fighting in the UFC when we were kids, and here we are. So that's it all worked out in perfect time for that.
I did want to ask you about that. I was going to ask you later on, but I'll just ask you now. Is obviously
Sure.
you and Puna, like, growing up together in Hawaii. Like, ever imagine you two being on the biggest stage like this? Like, it's probably pretty surreal to kind of look back how far you two have come.
Yeah, for real, it truly is, and I don't know if we really believed it. We talked big, like we talked to each other. We weren't like telling people we were going to be in the UFC, but we tell each other, and we watch all the pioneers growing up: BJ Penn, Kendall Grove, Brad Tavares, still going at it. Max Holloway, and we'd see all these guys, but we could never really like truly believe that we would be the ones doing it. And then shoot, you just start putting in the work and things start to happen and success comes your way. So now here we are. That's why this fight card's a little special to me, just because two kids coming, opponent aside, myself aside, this is bigger than that, and we get to show that two kids, we had a dream and we made it come true. So we get to do our thing on January 14th.
Are you disappointed just at the Apex? So like you can't have a lot of friends and family there, because obviously that'd be a pretty cool moment for all your friends and family back home.
That's the only bummer. Obviously, yeah, I've been wanting to get back to an arena. I kind of got teased with one. I went Apex, T-Mobile, back to Apex. And this card especially, like with Puna and I, we have tons of family and friends that just want to come out, but it's like it's hard to tell them, hey, fork up $2,000 to come. I'd rather they just watch it at home, to be honest. If I truly care about you, I'd rather you just watch it at home, because that's a lot of money. I'd rather you put that money somewhere, unless you're just balling. But it's not easy for people to just come up with $2,000-$3,000 to pay for a ticket to go watch someone fight. So I think we'll both get big wins, and then we'll get put on another big arena card in the future, and we'll save it for that.
Before we get more into your fight, like I just kind of want to touch on like this past like year and a half. Like, what has that been like for you, like mentally? Like, obviously 3 losses. Like, you fought some of the top guys in the division, though. Like, what has this past like what year, 2 years kind of been like for you?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't won since March 2021, and I consider myself one of the hardest dedicated workers in the game, and in a way, my perfectionism is my biggest, what do you call that? Rock in my shoe. I don't know what you want to call it, but it holds me back sometimes, because I put so much into it. I want to do everything right. I never leave a stone unturned, and that pressure kind of builds up. And I kind of say it started a little more so when I became a dad. And coincidentally, I lost 3 times as soon as I became a dad. And I think it's just a little extra pressure I put on myself. Like, I'm already doing everything possible. And then when I became a dad, I was like, I have to do more and more and more. And I think that pressure, it's not like it affected me in a huge way, but I think it does take a little bit away from me performing freely. When I lost to the Korean Zombie, I went into that fight I felt really good. I had a great training camp. I was motivated. I just wanted to make a big statement. I didn't really have a game plan. I was like, if I knock this guy out, I could get a title shot. So that was kind of really my only game plan, was to do something big like that. And he beat me out of technicalities and had a game plan. And then losing that first loss as a dad, I took that one pretty hard. I was depressed for a little bit, because I put a lot on winning and losing. My identity was placed in that for a while, and I didn't recognize this at the time, but I was going through it. And going into the Emmett fight, I remember walking out. I was so numb. I had no feelings. I had no emotion. It was T-Mobile Arena. Dude, I've been waiting to get back into a big arena. Dude, I walked out. I was just like, I don't know. I'm not there, and I still fought a good fight. I went in there. I think I showed a lot of skills. Some people said I won, some whatever. I lost, and got through that one. But I kind of got confidence coming out of that one, because it was such a close fight with a dangerous guy, and being the way I felt going into that, I was like, I took confidence out of that. So then we went into the Movistar fight, and it's like, it took me losing 3 times to really go back and kind of dig deep, dig to my roots, and start, as I mentioned earlier, start working on myself, and start working on my mental health, start working on my personal life more than my my work ethic in the gym, because, I put everything into the gym. I put everything into my sleep, my recovery, the food I eat, doing ice baths and sauna. So I started just working on little things. Spoke with, sports psychologists, just doing things
Mhm.
that I don't normally do, that, men, like a stigma that, oh, we shouldn't, like you're considered weak if you seek out for help and, talk to other people. So I just started talking to people. I actually, a lot of good came into my life from going through what I went through, and I was able to share and help a lot of people too. And kind of going through that, it helped me reveal a little more of my greater purpose, being able to, it's almost like the Jared Gordon approach, right? I wasn't, I didn't go through addiction or anything, but I've gone through my own similar struggles and mental health struggles. And I don't want to, like, play that role or play that card, but I know I can relate to people by kind of opening up more about the truth, because we are, we're all humans. I get it. We're fighters. We're superheroes 2-3 times a year when we go in the cage and we do amazing things. But outside of that, I'm just a human, like you. I'm just a human like anyone else. And I have these same feelings and emotions. So I think kind of, just getting rooted and grounded again with myself and understanding my feelings and understanding it's okay to have feelings, and has helped me become a better fighter, if that makes sense. Because at this level, it's like, what am I gonna? I could go to the Mozart. Oh, hold my hand up a little higher. Oh, don't get hit with the fucking knee. Like, none of that stuff really matters. Like, I'm gonna get a little bit better from fight to fight, but how can I perform at my absolute best? It's me going in there being free. It's really hard to detach yourself from winning and losing. Obviously, that would be the goal, to detach yourself from outcome, but I think it's almost impossible. People say they do, but I don't know. I try real hard, but I want to fucking win, dude.
Mhm.
I want to be the best. I want to be a champ. Um, but just being able to be a little more real with myself, and kind of be vulnerable and open up about it, I think it helps me a little bit, just to kind of, relate with people and help people in the process, I guess.
Just one more thing on that, and then we'll get into your fight. Is like, does it help mentally, or that the guys you're losing to, like Korean Zombie goes to fight for a belt, like Emmett's fighting for the interim belt, like Mobsar seems like he's a top 10 guy, seems like a guy that's gonna be right up there, or like is it still it's just like a loss and that doesn't really help at all?
It does, because I mean, I know I'm fighting the best guys, but then it's like, then I see a guy like, dude, Zombie, right after me, he goes and fights for the title. Fuck, like, you could start putting
Mhm.
start comparing and putting yourself in their shoes. Like, that could have been me, that should have been me, and then I go, I lose to Emmett, and then Emmett fights a close fight with Calvin Cater, and then now he's fighting for the interim title. Then you put yourself, oh man, like, I should have got the win. That, whatever, like, I try not to, like, dwell, because if I start going backwards thinking about those fights, it'll almost put me in the mindset I was back then, and I don't want to be in that mindset, because I've grown so much from then, and to start thinking back to that, it's easily, our minds are wired in weird ways that we'll just revert back to, our old comfortable ways. So, I've moved on. I don't want to get stuck, you know like Dominic Ray. I don't want to even name guys, but, stuck on like the John Jones loss.
Mhm.
And I don't want to be, I beat that guy, but in reality I didn't, because I didn't get my hand raised. Judging aside, I didn't get my hand raised, so there's nothing I could do to change the outcome. It is what it was, and I'm here now, and I'm returning. I'm getting better, I'm trying again. That's all I could do, is get back up and try again. The second I just say, you know what, I'm done, that's the end of it. So I'm not done yet, and I'm gonna keep trying until I succeed.
And with this fight against Damon, like I talked to, I think it was last week, he said like he messaged you on Instagram to try to get a fight. Like, how did this one kind of come together? Like when I talked to him, like he was very respectful of you, said like it was more just he figured you wanted to fight and he wanted a shot at the rankings. Like, did you kind of think it was going to be an unranked guy you're going to get, and how this one kind of come together?
Yeah, he was messaging me, and he was trying to fight one more time. I thought I was too, and it almost got to the point where it was annoying because he was messaging. I'm like, I'm not the matchmaker. Like I'm agreeing, but me agreeing to you doesn't just make the fight
Mhm.
happen. You know, that's Sean Shelby. You have a manager, talk to your manager, have them get it done. I manage myself. I've told Sean Shelby that you want to fight me, and I said, okay. There's nothing more I can do from there. So it was getting a little annoying, but I don't, it's nothing personal. I know he wants to fight. I want to fight. But from that standpoint, it's like, bro, I could only control what I could control. And I'm not worried about him fighting. I'm worried about myself getting in a fight and me fighting and me feeding my family. So it was a little frustrating. And like perception from people like, hey, I'm hitting up Dan, but the fight's not happening yet. Oh, did he turn down the fight? Like
Mhm.
that's not how it works. So I'm glad the fight finally came through. I think it was gonna be either I was gonna end up fighting him or Sadiq. Um, Another guy, I admire him, I admire his work, but it's just that's the business. You sometimes fight guys that, you know, you like, and he was an option. I was open to either one, and it ended up being Damon Jackson. So here we are.
What have you made of his run? Like since coming back to the UFC, like 5-1, 4-fight winning streak, like coming off that very impressive win over Pat. Like what have you kind of made of his run since coming back to the UFC?
Yeah, I think, I mean, he's really good. He's a guy you definitely can't underestimate. He's one of those guys. I think people overlook him, and I think that's a reason to success because he's been overlooked. So he wants to go out there and make a statement, make it known that he's dangerous. I treat him no less than any other guy I fight. I treat him no less than Emmett, Movsar, Korean Zombie. He's the same for me. I think he's definitely done very well, and he's been on a tear. He's been finishing everyone. Um, and yeah, the Sabatini, I doubted that he was going to beat Pat, but he won in an impressive fashion. So he's definitely a guy you can't sleep on. And I got to go out there and be mindful and establish my game plan and be a dominant force.
So like how do you kind of see this one playing out then? Because I imagine there is like a lot of pressure on you to get the win, or is there any pressure?
Um, there is there is pressure to win because you think about your job on the line. There, you think about securing a second paycheck, but at the same time, I've become. I'm not going to say I'm okay with losing because I'm not, but I accepted the fact that I can lose and
Mhm.
that I will be okay. I still get to go back home to my family, but the goal is to win. I want to do everything possible to just perform at my absolute best and just be in a free state of mind because I've been there before and I know I can get there again. Um, I have to just go out there and trust in the process, trust in the work that I put in, trust in God's plan, not my plan, and just do my thing. Do what I'm capable of. Remember who I am. I sometimes I'm not going to see you. I've forgotten who I am,
Mhm.
but I know who I am and I know what I'm capable of. And as long as I remember that fight night, I can walk out there with the W. There's no question to it. Damon's a tough, respectable opponent, but this is not me versus Damon. This is, you've heard people fighters say me versus me. It really is. And I'm not saying I'm this like head case type of fighter, but I definitely have I've always been known for my mental toughness and strength, but you know, it's not. you're not just born and gifted with that. You have to continually work on it, and it's something I've been continually working on and improving on. So I'm dangerous everywhere. I'm dangerous. My mind's dangerous. My body is a weapon. I'm conditioned. I'm ready to, go out there and kill someone.
Do you put like any thought of like I got to go finish this guy and like kind of remind everyone because MMA like it's a sport that's like what have you done for me lately? Like you lose one fight and all the fans are like, oh, this guy sucks. Oh, he's never becoming a champ or anything like that. Like, is there any thought of like I got to go put on like this great performance and remind everyone I'm still a contender? Or is it more just like for yourself and just getting a win and who cares what everyone kind of says?
No, I mean, yes and no. I don't feel extra pressure to do that. I think me naturally being myself and fighting how I fight is makes it fun and exciting. When I start holding back, like I'm still dangerous, still fun, but it if I can't play it safe, you have to take risks in the sport. And if I see an opening, I'm definitely gonna put myself in the fire. Just that's the only way you're gonna, get a big reward is by taking a risk. And I've come this far to where I really have nothing to lose. I have to go out there and and fight and have no regrets after. Because if I do everything that I had planned in my head, then I'll have no regrets. And I just that it comes down to that. So, you know.
You go out there and beat Damon like he is an unranked guy, but he's a guy on a winning streak. Like, where do you think that puts in division?
Um Honestly, it's not going to move me up or down from the rankings, and that's not something I'm really focused on right now. I'm not focused on my position, but it will be a reminder that I'm still here and I'm still a force to be reckoned with. I know. I know I'm a top five fighter. Um, may or may not have shown that, but I know I am. I know what I'm capable of, and if it's my night, I know I can beat anyone. So um, that I really just I got one guy to focus on. One day to focus on, and that's all I can really look at right now. I can't even look past it and who's next, who's in the division. It doesn't matter. Have one day, Damon Jackson, January 14th, and if it's yeah, we'll see what happens.
Just two more things. Like, obviously, the top of the featherweight division, a little weird with Volkanovski going up, like the interim belt, and then you have like Max, Ortega, like Arnold Allen, all there. Like, what are your kind of thoughts on the top of the division? Because like you string together some wins and you're kind of right back up there, and it's a pretty like messy one.
Yeah, honestly, it's like I'm kind of glad where I'm at right now because that's one thing I've noticed with the rankings. It gets politics get involved. People don't want to fight certain people. They want to position themselves perfectly for the title. I've never really been that guy. I've just kind of been the guy. I think wins speak for themselves. Uh, I mean, Arnold Allen's look great. You got to feel for him a little bit because he's just had uncertain wins, right? And
Mhm.
he hasn't been super active. Then the Cater with his ACL, like that was like a uncertain win. So it doesn't define a title shot for him, which sucks because he's on like a crazy winning streak. And then yeah, I don't know what Ortega's doing. I know you got Yair and Emmett. That should be a good fight. I'm actually glad they're putting that one together. So there's a little movement in the division, with Volk going up. They got an interim belt. And then when he comes back, he could fight those guys. Max, I don't know what happens because he's fought for the top, three times, and it's just kind of unfortunate. Um, does he came back? He got a win against. I don't know what happens. Does he fight Ortega again, or does he go and make a splash at 155? I can't make those decisions. I don't know what I could only control what I could control. So I try not to get too caught up in that. But Taporia just got a big win. Kind of another emerging contender. Kind of puts him in. I don't know if he'll get an immediate shot at the top five, but he made a big statement. I don't even know who else. Mosar, when he comes back, he'll be it's another guy is capable of beating anyone. So yeah.
Just final thing, kind of like building off that, like what is kind of the goal then for you this year? Like imagine it's probably be a bit more active, but like starting the year off, first card of the year, it's like sets you up to have a pretty big year.
Yeah, I'd like to be active. I mean, I'm saying that now. I only fought one time. I fought 3 times in 2021. I fought once in 2022, which is weird because it's like 2021. I went 1-2. Had a main event, had a knockout of the night. It was a good year financially. Then 2022, I fight one time. Paid a big amount of taxes from 2021, then get kind of left with nothing. And it's kind of my own. I have other sources of income, but it's my main source of income. So it's like financially, it's like I'd like to have a little more consistency. But that would be the only reason to fight more consistent. I definitely want to stay active though, because I feel I'm in like a good state of mind, and my body's kind of in its prime right now. So I would like to take advantage of that, but we'll see what happens. You can never could hardly plan for tomorrow. This sport is like I got so much day-to-day freedom, but I don't know what's going to happen next week. I don't know what happens. The only thing is January 14th and everything stops. And after that date, then we could plan for the future. But it's hard to look past that right now.
Actually, just one more quick thing. How's the kid doing? I remember, I think it was our last interview. You were holding her. Like, is she a year yet or what?
Bam. He's a boy.
Or Bam. Yeah, right. Sorry.
No, you're good. He's almost 2.
Yeah.
He's 20 months. It's pretty freaking. He's wild. I mean, he's living up to his name, Bam. He loves double legs, and yeah, he's starting to recognize, kind of what I do. It's hard. It's getting harder because it's like he calls for me now, and it's like if I'm leaving to the gym, like he knows I have to tell him I'm going to work, and it's just sad a little bit, but it's sad to sacrifice that time. But that's what, if anything, will give me that fuel and advantage. Just when you sacrifice things, it typically comes back to reward you. So I look forward to the time, giving back the time to him and my wife, when this fight's over. But right now I'm focused on the now, and we got 3 weeks of this shit.
Well, Dan, I appreciate the time as always. Thank you so much for doing this.
For sure, Cole.
All right, we're joining UFC featherweight Damon Jackson, who's doing a first for me, running while doing an interview. Pretty impressive stuff. Damon, how's it going, man?
It's going great, man. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Like a month out from when we're doing this. Like, how is this already like full on, like getting ready to drop the weight, or is this just like a kind of a regular part of your workout?
Well, I like to get my legs going. I like to keep my cardio up, so I do a lot of running. But with fight getting this close, I'm doing sparring 2 days a week. I'm grappling 4 or 5 days a week. So my runs are kind of limited. Today I'm doing like a long endurance run, and tomorrow I've got my sprint work. But then the rest of the week is kind of chill. So
I guess it kind of kills time too, doing an interview on.
Yeah. That gets kind of boring on here. I watch all of Dan's fights. Usually it takes about 30 minutes for each one of his fights to go through, and then the zombie fight was, that's 5 rounds, whatever. So it's nice to get through some cardio and watch a couple of fights.
I remember when we talked after the win over Pat, you mentioned Dan, a guy like Dan as an opponent. So how kind of happy were you when you got the call you'd be fighting him?
Me and him, I actually messaged him. I was like, hey man, I don't want to talk smack. Got nothing but respect for you. Would love to have the matchup. He was like, yeah, you've been on a streak. You definitely deserve a top 15 shot. So we were trying to line it up for December. And it just didn't work out. So it was so nice to get everything finalized and on that card early in the year. So.
Oh, what have you made of his last couple fights? Obviously on a 3-fight losing streak, but you look at the guys he's lost to are
Exactly.
top guys in the
Exactly.
division.
I'm not a fool. I'm not gonna sit here and say that he's down, he's out, nothing like that. He's fight like the guy, Josh Emmett, fighting for a title. You know, Calvin Kattar fought for a title. Korean Zombie fought for a title. So these are guys that Mobzar, he's gonna be fighting for a title soon. He's a tough dude. So these guys are tough as hell. So I don't hold that against him. I think that there's definitely things I can take advantage of, but he's a killer.
What kind of drew you like to wanting this matchup? Like, is it just like his number? Or is it like the style?
Yeah. Well, no, I don't care about styles. I'll fight anybody. I basically said, hey, you don't have a fight. I want to fight. They're not going to give you someone ranked below you. So why don't you fight me? Because, you know, you're on a skid. I'm coming in from outside top 15. So it just made sense. And then I tried to get a fight against Julian Erosa and Alex Caceres. And then they ended up getting matched up. And then I asked for Sadiq. He wasn't available. And then Dan Ige messaged me back the same day. So I was like, oh, let's go.
With Dan, like obviously a tough Hawaiian, like what are your kind of thoughts on his overall game?
He's a killer for sure. He headhunts. He throws heavy punches. So I think that he doesn't do that against me because he knows I'll take him down and I beat him on the ground. So it's a tough fight, but I'm ready to go. I know he will be too.
Who do you bring in anyone to like kind of mimic him, or do you just use the guys at Fortis? There's obviously a lot of featherweights lightweights you can use.
All the fighters at Fortis are so intelligent that I can ask them to do like one or two things differently, and they do it like perfect. So that's why we do so good when we do like short notice fights at Fortis, is because we can game plan, we can mimic all styles. We have backgrounds coming from everywhere, so that's why we are the best.
With these one too, like Dan's gone 5 rounds before, like he's proven his cardio is very good. Like does that just add to the challenge where you know that that guy's gonna be there for all 15 minutes and like at a pretty high pace?
Look where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not taking this lightly, man. I'm ready to go. I'm so happy that I get the opportunity, and I'm just ready to go.
Did you think, like, obviously you called for it, but did you think you were going to get that top 15 guy after that last fight?
I don't see how they could argue it, because there's too many guys. There's too many guys in the top 15 that kind of sit back and don't do anything for months at a time. And I think it's so weird. And I knew there was guys that were thinking that I would be a good fight, easy matchup for them. But it's like, someone called me out. I don't want to talk smack, so I was waiting on someone to call me out. So I did it as respectfully as I could. I messaged Bryce Mitchell. I messaged Dan Ige. I messaged Sadiq. I messaged Julian Rosa. And the only two people that hit Alex Caceres, and the only two people that responded were Julian. He told me he had a fight booked, and then Dan Ige messaged me back. So it is what it is.
With this one too, like fighting the first card of the year, like I know you said you wanted to fight in December. Like, was this the goal then to get one right away since the beginning of the year? Yeah,
we were both one day end of the year. I wanted to get one more win in, so I could have had the most wins that year, because it's like everybody's tied with three wins. So I was hoping to get one more fight and obviously win it and get that fourth win. But here's what it is. I'm ready to go.
Do you think people are still going to be overlooking you going into this fight? Like everyone thought Pat was going to kind of smoke you, and like it wasn't going to be close, and you kind of did the opposite to him. And then the funny thing is everyone always thought you're a grappler, and then you go out there and just knock him out. Like people are going to kind of start respecting your striking a bit.
Maybe if I get another good finish, then people will be like, "Oh, he's for real. He's 23-4, and he's got 20 finishes." Like, give me a break, dude. I'm 22-4. I have 19 finishes, and somehow I don't get respect. It makes no sense.
Who are kind of the main people you're working with for this camp then?
Man, we got our full lineup, but
Yeah.
I'd say EJ, Miles, John's little brother, EJ. Actually, I don't even refer to him as Miles, John's little brother, because works so much harder, and he's just so much tougher right now. And he's just a killer. So EJ, Elijah Johns, you'll know his name soon.
Mhm.
And then we got Abdul, killer, killer, dude. Awesome wrestling, awesome grappling. And then Steven Peterson, worked with him a little bit. And then a couple of my clients, I'm actually stepping up and working with them. And we got this young kid, his name's Ian. And you guys are going to know Ian real soon, too.
I remember when we talked after that Dan fight, and you mentioned how like the weight cut, it didn't go that well, and there was like obviously your legs kind of went out. Like obviously it didn't happen in the Pat fight, but like have you kind of nail point what happened so it doesn't happen again?
Yeah, I actually had really good weight cuts right before that fight. And so I really don't know exactly how it happened, but I think I rehydrated too quickly. So instead of the weight cut part, that's not the problem. I get the weight off pretty easy, but it's the rehydrating part that I had to tweak a little bit. But I'm good to go.
With Dan, like as durable as you can come, like never been finished, went 5 rounds with Zombie, like took Josh Emmett's best shots, like he gets dropped by guys and gets up rather quickly. So like how do you kind of see this playing out then?
Man, it's gonna be a scrap for sure. That's why I'm trying to tell everybody, I'm like, listen, this fight could have been a main event. It's gonna be fight of the year. It's gonna be a big fight. I want to go in there and get a finish. He wants to come back and make people forget about his losing streak, and it's going to be a fight.
Obviously, you always prepare for the best version of a guy, but like I think this is a scenario where we probably do see the best Dan just because his back is up against the wall. Like, and obviously that makes him a dangerous fighter. Like, how do you kind of prepare for that? Because he could probably be doing a lot of things he hadn't done in fights. And you kind of need this win.
Well, I think you have to understand how competitive I am. So my back's on the wall every time because I look at myself and I try to hold myself to a higher standard. So to me, I take every fight serious. I feel like my back's on the wall every fight because no one wanted me to come back to the UFC. And once I made it back, people were talking smack. And now I'm on this win streak, and people are kind of understanding the ability I have to be in this division, to be in the top 15, top 10. So my back's on the wall every fight. And that's how I think of every fight, is that my back's on the wall. So I'm ready to go.
Do you think your striking gets overlooked because of how good you are on the ground and everyone kind of thinks of you as a grappler?
Yeah, I think also I have a kind of an unorthodox style on my feet, but it works out in practice. It works out in my fights. There's been a few fights where I've got caught backing up and getting close to the cage, and I've got caught there. And those are technical things that I've fixed. And I think that my striking, I'm just trying to tighten it up as much as I can and keep wrestling while I strike. And it's been a journey for sure.
You mentioned there you want the finish. Do you think it's probably a sub you get, or does it really not matter to you?
Whatever, man. Like that last fight, I would have never expected that front kick to land the way it did. I wanted to throw that the whole fight. I thought I was going to have to hit him with the body shots. I think Dan's going to be a lot trickier to figure out than one front kick. So wherever the finish happens, I want that finish.
Say you do go there and finish Dan, like where do you think that puts you in division? Like obviously puts you in the top 15, but I think it's a lot more than that because you look at the guys that Dan's fought and none of those guys are with them.
Hey, I'm not the matchmaker. I'm not the I don't make the rankings. I don't do any of that stuff. My job's to fight. So hopefully going in there, taking care of business in the cage is good enough for me is to get that, top 15 spot and to move forward with the big matchup.
And then sharing the card with Jeff Neal as well. Like how cool is that? Because I know you guys are kind of cool, like the old piece of Florida.
We kind of got, me and him kind of got the same vibe. Just lay back and chill. And fight week, same thing with him. He just he does his own thing. Shadow boxes, he's off on the side. Doesn't say a whole lot. And so we're pretty tight. So it's pretty cool to be fighting on the same card with him.
And just last thing, like, what is kind of the goal then for you this year? Like, you go out there and beat Dan first card of the year. Like, that sets you up to have a very big year.
Hey, man, I like to stay busy. I have a lot going on, but my main focus is Dan Ige, moving past that. It's all about, as long as my body's good, as long as I'm healthy, I'm fighting.
Well, Damon, I appreciate the time. Thank you so much for doing this.
For sure, man. Yeah, definitely.
All right, we're joined by UFC featherweight Isaac Dulgarian, who's set to make his UFC debut here pretty soon. Isaac, how's it going, man?
Yes, sir. I'm doing all right. Just training, making sure I'm ready to go.
Obviously, you got the contract back in February, like a first round finish. Like, what kind of took so long for you to kind of make this debut happen?
Man, I'm doing this sport for about 3 years now. All my fights have ended in first round finish, so not a lot of experience there. So I'm gaining the experience in the gym.
Where have you kind of been training for this one then?
Where?
Yeah.
I've been at Factory X, been up at a Marathon MMA, everywhere.
Is that something that you just think is important, like young in your career, to kind of learn from a lot of different people at different gyms and different coaches and all that?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I like to learn from different people. I mean, you always, growing up in wrestling, there's always, you can pick somebody's brain, anybody, you can at least learn one thing. So Coach Montoya out here, he's been good to me and helping me out here at Factory X. So I'm excited to see the results.
And then your opponent in Daniel Argetta, like how familiar were you with him?
I seen him fight on The Ultimate Fighter last year, and I seen him fight Damon Jackson. Other than that, I went back, watched a couple of his fights from, I forget what organization he was in, but yeah, I've seen him around.
What have you kind of made of his career so far? Like, I've seen he lost on tough to Ricky Tercios and then lost to Damon Jackson on short notice in a pretty competitive fight, and especially what Damon's been doing lately.
Yeah. I mean, I think he's good. I think that I'm better everywhere, but he does have a lot of experience and a lot of cage time. I seen he had a title fight for whatever organization it was. I can't remember. But yeah, he's a good fighter. We both kind of bring the same style, so I'm excited to kind of have a good stylistic matchup.
Still just 26, like started your career, like pro career March of 2021. Like, are you kind of surprised it's happened this quickly and like you're already in the UFC, or did you think it wouldn't take you that long?
No, I knew it wouldn't take me that long, man. I just got to keep winning fights, keep doing the things that I do daily, training hard and just being present in all my training. So.
Did you get a chance to talk to Dana at that Looking for a Fight event when he signed you?
Yeah, I did. I talked to him a little bit. I was kind of in shock a little, but I got to talk to him.
And then that whole thing was the full send thing. If you don't want to talk about this, we can cut this out. I heard that you got that thing. What kind of ever happened with that?
So I won the Nelk Boy sponsorship. We're still kind of delegating what's going on with that. I was told it would be taken care of before my fight, but just trying to get in contact with them and make sure our schedules match is kind of hard. So, because they're very busy and I'm out here training for my fight. So I'm hoping we get something figured out before my fight, if not right after, and go from there.
That's obviously something you're still interested in then?
Oh, yeah, no, I think it's a great opportunity for me. Just as a young athlete coming up, I could definitely use some backing, could definitely use some support from them. And I think it would help get my name out there even more.
And then as a 26-year-old, like, did you know who they were? Like, you're kind of in that Denver, because I'm 23. Like, I kind of grew up kind of watching those guys and all their pranks, all that. Were you the same?
Yeah. I knew who they were. I didn't necessarily watch all their videos all the time, but I definitely had seen them around, and I thought some of the stuff they were doing was pretty funny.
Oh, what do you think that would do for your career to have that kind of backing? Like, they have millions of followers. Like, they're with Ty, they're with Sean. Like, you kind of see how popular they've gotten just being part of them. Like, what do you think that would do if this ended up coming to fruition?
I mean, I think it would help my career skyrocket, man. I've been competing in combat sports for probably about 18 years now. So I'm hoping something finally pays off. I've been competing since I was 8 years old for free. So I'm excited to finally be able to make some money doing what I love to do, and I hope that they can help me do that.
And first card of the year, just at the Apex, like, are you a bit disappointed at the Apex, or do you kind of like going out there?
To the Apex?
Yeah.
I mean, I would prefer to be in an arena for
Yeah.
sure. I'm ready for the lights, camera, action. The Apex is kind of awkward, but it's fine. It's same as training, so it's just quiet in there. That's all.
Have you talked to a lot of fighters about how they kind of deal with that? Because it is a smaller cage, and like when I've talked to fighters, they say it's weird because you can hear the other person's corner, like middle of the fight, which isn't usually the case. Like, have you talked to other people about kind of what that experience is going to be like?
I got to corner one of my coaches, Mike Breeden, in his first two fights. So I felt the atmosphere. I felt what it feels like, heard the sounds, smelled the smells, So I've been there, and I've been there mentally as well.
Who is going to be your corner for this one?
I have Mike Breeden, Alexa Culpa, and Jason High in my corner.
With Daniel, like obviously a very good wrestler, like works with Cub and all those kind of guys. Like, how do you kind of see this one playing out?
I mean, I kind of leave that up to him. I feel like if he wants to play keep away, stay far away, we can play that game. If he wants to try to press the action like he does with everybody else, I'm down to play, I think I'm a better wrestler. I have better credentials. And I think I'm better if it comes to a grappling exchange, no matter what.
Do you think because you have like so many first round, like all your fights are first round finishes, but so many of them are by knockout that people are going to kind of forget your wrestling and grappling background, just kind of assume you're a striker?
I feel like they're going to assume that I'm only a wrestler,
Yeah.
And I don't do typical wrestling. I'm not a college jet style wrestler. I do a lot of weird things. I can scramble. I'm just all over the place, and my MMA wrestling and IQ on the ground is another level. So I think they're going to forget about my striking, to be honest.
And then as well, with all those first round finishes, you're going to have people always kind of questioning your cardio. Like, is that something you want to keep in the back pocket? Is kind of not letting people know what you can be like over 15 minutes?
They're about to find out. You know what I mean? They're about to find out. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to fight. I'm out here training in Colorado. So getting the altitude training in is definitely going to help a little bit. But I do fight fast. But I can push a pace for a long period of time. So we'll just see what happens. I know Dan comes in shape. He's ready to go always. So we're just going to see how it plays out, man.
Do you put any pressure on yourself to like continue this first round finish streak, or is it just more that like they kind of been presenting itself and you're not really chasing them?
I mean, I'm not chasing them, but it's great to get out in the first round. It'd be nice to be 10-0, 10 first round finishes, but that would be nice. That's not necessarily the reality of the situation. We'll see if it happens though.
Are you kind of expecting to have to go probably 15 minutes? Like Daniel's never been finished before. Like Ricky went the distance with him. Like Dame went the distance. Like he seems like a pretty durable and tough dude to get out of there.
Oh, he's definitely durable and he's definitely tough and gritty, and he's not going to give me a damn thing. I'm going to have to take it from him. So I think I can finish him, but I mean, like I said, we're going to have to see. I think that nobody he's fought can grapple like I can, and nobody's as violent as I am that he's fought. So I think those guys they're getting taken down and just beat up by him, and that's not going to happen to me.
And then obviously you are managed by Jason House and Iridium. Like how beneficial has that been? Because there's so many fighters, and I know like they have like these seminars that can talk to other fighters what kind of their experiences. Like how beneficial has that been being with them?
Man, they helped me out a lot, man. Jason House and Parga and all them, the whole team at Iridium, they definitely helped me out, and I couldn't be any more grateful for having them managing me and taking care of my career.
Just a couple more things. Like, say you do finish Daniel, like, where do you think that puts you in the division? Like, it is just your UFC debut, but you look at a guy like Damon Jackson, who's fighting Dan Ige, who's a ranked guy, couldn't even put him away.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I feel like Damon he kept the back. I feel like he didn't really put out a lot of damage, though. He did a great job controlling, but he didn't put out enough damage. So, I mean, for me, the goal was just to go out there, compete to the best of my ability, and let it all play out, man. There's not necessarily any game plan or anything specific I need to do. It's just if I show up and perform, I'm going to win.
Have you talked to other fighters about like the UFC jitters? Like some people think they're a real thing. A lot of people say they're not. Like, have you talked to people kind of how to avoid those from happening?
I don't think there's really any way to avoid them. I think the nerves are what help you survive and help you fight even better. I've grown up competing in front of a lot of people on big stages, so I know what it's about. I know I'll probably get a little nervous or whatever, but I know my body knows when it's time to compete and what it needs to do at that time.
And just final thing, like fighting first card of the year, like what is kind of the goal for you this year? Like UFC debut in January, like it kind of sets you up to have a pretty big year fighting so early.
Yeah. I'm not necessarily sure exactly what I want to do. Like I said, I'm young, so taking some time in between fights, I don't think would be a horrible idea for me. But I do want to stay active as well. So I'd hope to get 2 or 3 in this year, 2 or 3 next year. And as I get a little older and a little more experienced, then we'll start knocking them out.
Well, Isaac, I appreciate the time. Thank you so much for doing this.
All right, yeah, brother. Thank you.
Yeah.